What's up, everyone? Welcome to Flip the Scripts and Adaptation Podcast. I'm your co-host, Stephen Nieman.
And I'm the other co-host, Ankit and Madhira.
Welcome back to part 2 of The Lovely Bones. Now, if this is your first time watching us, this is a dark 2 episodes. But if this is your first time ever watching us, we do this for our episodes when we do movies. Welcome. This is what we do for our first 2 episodes. Ankit always has fun fact time, and I always have fun question time. When we do TV series, we kind of always do a fun question time and fun fact time, but that's just because it's episodic. My fun
Movies
question
are different.
for Ankit today is, because this is going over the obsession thing that is really big in the movie right now. What is one thing that you got obsessed with while you were growing up that took over your life for a little bit, and like you're like, oh, I only focused on this, and then I had to wake up and realize I had to focus on other things?
Tennis.
Really?
I almost went to college to play tennis.
Nice.
Like, I was being recruited by colleges, not like, D1 schools.
Yeah.
I was recruited by D2 and D3 schools to go play. And I almost did, and then I chose against it.
I think the thing that really I got obsessed with was gacha games on the phone. So I really got I spent money on gacha games. I would and recently I've been like, no, I need to stop, and I've stopped. I haven't played a gacha game in like a couple days now. I'm like 5 days clean. I know it sounds like a drug addict, but gacha is gambling. So it's like that gambling kind of thing of like, oh, I can get the character, I can spend the money. It's just $30 here, $30 there. And
what are these gacha games? What are you talking about?
You never heard of a gacha?
I probably have, but just not the term. What's a gacha game?
So gacha is a Japanese game from the Japanese. It's a Japanese style game that basically there's in-game transactions that give you characters, and you're like, gotcha, and like they help you play the game and everything.
Oh, it feels like Mario Kart, although they ruined the new Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe I have
amazing.
Issues with it.
I love Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
No, it's great. The issues I have with it is really boring to play alone, because they give you all the characters and all the tracks and everything from the beginning. So all you're unlocking are new kart combinations. And once you get the kart combination that you want, there's no motivation, I feel, to continue playing, because you already have unlocked everything you want.
True.
So why am I going to go in and play more?
We'll see what they do with Mario Kart 9 on the Switch 2.
Look, all I'm saying is go back to what you had on the Wii, go back to what you had on the GameCube, hey...
You want Double Dash back? I want Double Dash back.
Dude, I want Double Dash back. Give me Double Dash.
Give me a Double Dash that is streamed to the Switch 2. I would buy the Switch 2 right away.
Yeah.
Give me, you know how they had the Virtual Console?
Mm-hmm.
Just add GameCube to it, and Switch 2 would be amazing. Just add GameCube. Just add a GameCube library that keeps updating itself regularly. I would go crazy.
I would love a Switch 2. I'm probably not going to get one right when it comes out, because they're going to be stupid expensive.
I think they'll be $300 is what they're saying.
That's not stupid expensive, but I still probably won't get one right when it comes out. But if they were adding GameCube games to it, or their new Mario Kart is a revamped Double Dash, I would 100% play it. But that's my issue with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is that it doesn't help you open anything. Anyway, the movie. We're talking about the movie.
I'm excited for. I don't know when the PS6 is gonna drop, and I'm like dreading that, because obviously I love my PS5.
At this point, I'm just gonna save up, and I'm just gonna buy a PS6. I'm not gonna buy a PS5.
Hogwarts Legacy 2 is coming, sir, so I'm excited.
Oh, okay.
You got to be Hogwarts Legacy 1. You were halfway through. I know.
I wasn't even halfway through. I didn't. Almost at the end.
I haven't deleted your profile.
I appreciate that. I will eventually make it down to California, and then I'll finish the game.
Just live in my room for a day playing it. All right.
Not even live in your room, dude. I think it legitimately would. No,
we have a guest room. What I mean
is,
we have a guest room. You just come downstairs and play it, and then go back to the guest room.
Yeah. No, I think it would legitimately take me 3 more hours of gameplay to beat the game to where I'm at.
So back to the adaptation, because. Yeah. So we just left off. Abigail has left Jack for California, which does happen in the book. Abigail as a wife, Lindsay and even Buckley turn on Abigail. for this action. They don't seem to care about that action as much in the movie. It's kind of brushed over.
They're just like, well, mom's gone. All right, what is she gonna do about it? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Cut to Lindsay and Sam getting together. Sam's the character that gets introduced. It's Lindsay's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Well, Sam wants to be Lindsay's boyfriend at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But they cut to and Susie's watching them, and Holly's in the background eating popcorn, watching them with her. Which I'm like, Holly shouldn't be able to do according to the book logic, but I still found it funny.
It was hilarious, and I enjoyed it.
I was here for it. So they had a first kiss, and Susie's like, "Oh, now my sister's ahead of me." Now, in the book, Susie and Ray did kiss, and they were almost in a relationship. The thing that Susie did say that line, but it's about Lindsay and Sam getting together and having intercourse because it's a teen book. And I understand why they didn't do it in the movie because it's not rated R. Also, you can't just film children doing that.
Yeah.
It's not Game of Thrones. Although that 70s show seemed to get away with it, but they were all adult actors playing teenagers. So
no, they were not. Mila Kunis was 14 when she signed on to that show.
Okay, Mila Kunis was Mila Kunis the only child actor in that show?
No, I think they were all like
16,
17 when they started.
Yeah, but I think this is supposed to take place like 3 years after Susie's death. Like this whole scene.
This whole scene is like 3 to 5 years, somewhere around that time.
So Lindsay's older. Lindsay's like definitely 17 by this point, I think.
I think she's a sophomore or a junior in high school. One of the two.
16, 17. Yeah.
16, 17. She's sophomore,
15,
junior
16.
year.
15,
Somewhere around
16.
there.
Yeah. So she's
sophomore, junior year.
So like, but I understand
she's
why
older than Lindsay was when Lindsay.
She's older than Susie was when Susie died.
Yes, that's what I meant.
So, but they could still show romantic intention and like boyfriend girlfriend and still keep the line and then also let the audience infer or whatever. But like also at the same time, like why did you have to cut the relationship of Ray and Susie? I mean, I didn't understand it.
I didn't get it. I was like, oh, so you can have them kiss. You just chose not to have the others kiss.
Yeah. Then we cut to Ray and Ruth chilling at the sinkhole, and I'm like, all right, I guess Ray and Ruth do become a thing for a while. That is something that has happened. But
they're more like friends, and then they just have casual intercourse.
They're benefits. Friends with those benefits.
Oh yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah. Lindsay ends up in front of Harvey's house and is suspicious now. Harvey now wants Lindsay. So dun dun dun. And then while this is happening, we now found out that Jack Salmon has made it to the last row, which means it's been 20 months since Susie has died. So 2 years, which is not apparent in the storytelling.
It's not clear.
He sees George in a picture and then he knows who did it right away. He's like, oh my God.
This is what bothers me. He doesn't look at pictures and figure this out. He gets it because of Holiday. Give the good boy his treats.
Yeah, give the good boy his plot points.
Right? Holiday's the reason that Jack has the idea that it would have been Harvey.
Yeah.
It's not because of the pictures. It's because of the dog.
So Susie runs into another door. And it's the door of a safe, it looks like, and she sees icicles. There is a quote in the book that I love that is not said, because there's this thing about live people started. So there was this project that Lindsay was a part of and a part of a summer camp. This was skipped in the movie entirely, so I'm free to talk about it. So Lindsay goes to a summer camp and she's with a group of people and they're doing a project, and the project eventually gets turned to how to commit the perfect murder. Lindsay's not happy about that project turn, but her and Sam are starting to, they're at the summer camp together. That's how they fell in love. Like that's the whole reason she fell in love with Sam was they're at the summer camp together
And
and they
what I
take care
love
of each
about
other.
this is that Sam grabs her right before
Yeah.
this project and is like, I need to talk to you. I'm going to warn you about this.
Yeah. And so this
Like,
project is really dark and the kids are like all about it because they're like, "Oh, we have this murder in the town now and we want to talk about it." And Lindsay's
well,
like,
no, because
"It's my sister."
this summer camp happened elsewhere.
Oh, it did. Well,
Yeah,
I felt they were still connected somehow. Like they knew about Susie.
some of the kids knew,
Yes. Some of
not
the kids
all of
knew.
them. Some of the kids knew. I don't think all of them knew.
But Sam knew.
That Sam knew, and some of the other kids at that camp knew.
Yeah, but
But
here's the
the
thing
way that
that
I looked at it was like, it's a sleepaway camp, right? And so it's like, you'll have kids from a bunch of different cities
yeah,
coming to one place. So like they might have heard about the murder, but they might not have clocked that like Lindsay was the daughter or was the sister
of
of that
course.
kid,
But I
right?
also
So
will
like,
point
yeah.
out this sleepaway camp happens before Abigail leaves for California.
Oh, yeah.
This is all like Abigail leaves for California is way later in the book.
She leaves like 3/4 of the way in the book, or like 2/3
Yeah,
maybe.
not halfway. But they play that game at the camp, and obviously Lindsay would be very effective at it because of Susie. But they play the same game in heaven.
Yeah, it's messed up.
And there's a line. I mean, it's messed up, but they're all dead anyway, so I think they can play the game. But there's a line that Susie says that I'm like, they're all talking about the perfect murder weapon, and she's like, "Oh, an icicle." And everyone looks at her. She's like, "Yeah, because it'll melt and disappear."
Yeah.
She calls it the perfect murder weapon in the book. Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
George sees the ghost of her. So then Sam and Jack drives back to town and goes in front of the house and it's going to go confront George Harvey. George is trying to set up this trap that he's setting up for Lindsay, which is like a snare trap, which never comes up again. By the way, after this scene, it is never talked about again. I don't even think it's in the rest of the movie. I think it's in this one scene and never seen again.
Yep.
He walks out of the garage, sees Jack and hides, and then Jack is going to walk away, and then he sees the shadow of Susie on a bike and drops all the twigs. And I was like, that's interesting.
It was weird.
It was weird. It doesn't happen in the book.
I don't
obviously.
have much more to add to that, but it was weird.
George sees and so Jack and George start having conversations. Susie then goes to the safe, while Jack is interested in the structure that Harvey is building in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
The flowers there turns out to be a flower in the safe. The flower in the safe is the same flowers that were given to Susie's mother by George Salmon at the beginning of the film.
George Harvey.
Thank you, George Harvey, at the beginning of the film, to Abigail Salmon. Jack picks up the flower, and the flower comes back alive in his hand, the mystical flower. And then it's dead again in the next take. There's a lot of ghosty things happening that are in the movie that aren't in the book. I think the book shaves all the ghosty stuff for one moment, and it makes it really good and epic. I think the movie ruins it by having too many.
I don't know what this note is in reference to, but I just have a note, and I think it has to do with this scene because we're talking about flowers.
Yeah.
And the note that I wrote down is they need dual flowers? ? I have no idea what this means because I watched this film a good chunk of time ago at this point because recording schedules, like we were going to record this a few weeks ago and we got sick. So like, I don't know what that note means, but I found it a funny note.
I don't know. Then Jack finally sees the murder, his daughter's murder. But so there's a moment in the book where this scene does happen in the book, but Jack says the name Susie, and it freaks George out so much he asks Jack to leave. And that's the moment where Jack's like, yeah, you killed my daughter.
Yeah. That's where he knows.
Because Jack said the term Susie. Like, he used the name very specifically to freak George out. Not said now, for some reason. They just wanted to change dialogue. I don't know. Then Jack tries to break into George's house, and I'm like, that's new.
That's different.
I think he does do something. And well, no,
He, look, he stalks that house.
yeah, and he
He
almost gets
stalks
arrested
that
for it,
house full-heartedly,
but he doesn't
wholeheartedly.
break it.
But he doesn't actively try to break in at any point, to my recollection.
Yeah, and now he's in trouble with Len, who's not a character, by the way. Len, you don't know anything about him. He's just the cop who's investigating the thing,
That's it.
and
That's
has
all you
given
know.
up on the investigation, according to Lindsay, which is true. Then Jack takes Buckley's bat and heads over to George's house, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Jack follows George, and Susie freaks out because Jack is following George with a bat, and I'm like, oh, all right.
We're gonna
Yeah.
get this scene.
Yeah, so this scene doesn't have it in the book. Jack tries to follow George
It's
with a
actually
bat.
surprisingly accurate to how it happened.
It's very accurate. And then Holly disappears, and I was like, "Who is Holly?" At least in this version, we know who Holly is in the book. Holly's just a roommate, but they seem to give Holly this like mystical powers in the movie.
Yeah, she's magical.
Yeah, Jack runs into Cassandra and her, I think that's her name, right?
Sure.
And her BF, and he
I
gets
think that's
beat
her
up.
name. I'll tell you if it's wrong.
Clarissa. It's a C name. It's Clarissa.
Oh, it is Clarissa.
My bad.
I think her boyfriend is Brian?
Yes, Brian. So Jack runs into Clarissa and Brian in the cornfields, and because he has a bat, Brian just takes the bat and beats him up and almost beats him to death. This is book accurate, by the way.
This is incredibly accurate. Also,
Then,
like, I get that, but at the same time, the entire time when I was reading the book and watching the film,
yeah,
Jack in this moment is asking Clarissa, "Are you okay? Are you hurt? Are you like that's what he's asking, and then gets beaten up." So like I'm kind of like, okay, I completely understand the chaos of the moment, and you go with adrenaline and you don't know what's going on. She was just grabbed by someone, you don't know who that someone is because you don't know Harvey's around. But like on Brian, and I don't know, right? This is just a discussion to have, but would you not, if you heard someone say, "Are you okay? Are you hurt? Are you safe?" Would you not pause for a moment to be like, okay, why am I beating up the person that's asking if my girlfriend is safe, if she's okay?
I mean,
I get the adrenaline moment, right? I don't have an answer. This was just my thought as I was watching this, right? I hope I am never in this situation. I hope nobody is ever in this situation.
no,
But
I
just
mean,
something that I
maybe
want
he
to
was just
leave the
having a.
listeners with, and something to leave you with, of like, I just didn't understand that. I get the whole adrenaline thing. You're trying to save your girl, like you're trying to save your friend. You're trying to save the people. You don't know what's going on. All you know is that she's screaming. I completely get all of that. But like, as he's being beaten up, he's yelling like, "Are you okay? Are you safe?" Like that's what he's saying. And I just didn't get like why you wouldn't take like even a beat to be like, okay, something feels off about this situation.
Yeah.
If he's asking, "Are you okay? Are you safe? Did anyone hurt you?"
So Ryan beats the living hell out of Jack.
Yeah.
And he's rushed to the hospital as the gazebo that Susie has been living in starts to break. And the gazebo sinks in the sinkhole as Jack was okay and wakes up. So Susie says her dad will never move on as long as she is connected to him. So she tries to break it so her dad can move on. Susie's trying to let her dad go. So she goes to the house, and there's a bright light, and she gets shot into a freeway. And she finds all of Harvey's victims. All women, by the way. And then they also reveal that Holly was one of the victims.
Dun dun dun.
She is not
No.
one of the victims. She is not. She's no connection to George Harvey at all.
The connection that Holly has to George Harvey is, "Hey Susie, that's the guy that murdered you, right?"
Yeah.
Like, not in a
Um,
good way by any means,
there
like, but
is
that
a
is
whole
the level of
chapter
connection.
about George's backstory, and I think it's really interesting. I think Alice does a really good job. It almost feels, it reminds me of Criminal Minds a bit. People who love that show or love Law and Order SVU, some aspects of it.
I think they
Um,
did a good job of doing this scene,
but there's no backstory about his mom. His
but there's no
mom and his
backstory
dad.
about, yeah. So we miss. They do a lovely job because this chapter that you're talking about is
Yeah.
split into two different bits, right? You get George Harvey and his backstory, and then you get the murder spree that he has gone on as a serial killer. I think the movie did a beautiful job of displaying and showing the second aspect of this chapter of the serial killer nature and what he did there. I think they did it tastefully for a PG-13 movie. They did it
Mm-hmm.
well. They explained it well. They held it with the right gravitas. I just wish that we also had part one of that chapter so that part two hit harder, so that we felt more about part two of this chapter. Because I think
And
they did this part really well. I just wish that we had the other bit as well.
and I think the movie is missing something very important. The book is from Susie's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's from beyond. We're watching, like, we need to watch this movie from beyond. We're not. We're living it we're like two different locations, Earth and the in between, whatever. But yes, dark movie, but like the fact of the matter is the movie did not create that sense of from beyond. It did not create Susie as the narrator. She can narrate all she wants, which she does the whole movie, but then that doesn't necessarily work. So I feel like the adaptation choice of what they were doing fell to the side a bit. It feels like we needed to focus on where we were going, what was going to happen,
Yeah.
how, and when we go back in time, that feeling of going back in time, it could have been really fascinating. It could have been very well done. A movie told in more of an episodic nature. You could have had chapter breaks in the middle of the movie, like flashes of light. I think we've seen many adaptations do that. You could have done so many different things to try to emphasize what the movie was about, but they didn't. They focused on other aspects of the movie that I think made it try to tell it in a chronological way that hurt the storytelling at the end of the day. And then Holly relives her death. Now, we actually don't even see that. So, like, it was like, oh, she's dead. We know this. But then it's like, it points to the safe. And it's like, oh, she's in the safe. Which isn't true. Not book accurate, at least.
But, like, here's the thing, is she might have been in the safe.
Might have. Yes.
Right? Because we
know.
don't know.
But I love the ambiguity of the book.
I love the ambiguity of the book that we don't know. I don't like that I don't mind that we know that she's in the safe.
Yeah.
Right? But I think the difficulty of it is that spoiler to what happens at the end of the movie, but this is normally how this show works. So at the end of the movie, he dumps the safe into the sinkhole.
Yes.
He does that very early on
in the book.
After her death. He dumps something in the sinkhole like the next day or like 2 days after she disappeared.
Yeah.
And so she's in the sinkhole the entire time. And I wish, like, I don't mind if they showed us a safe, but then if they showed that the safe is inside the sinkhole, it's like, they're never going to find her. There's no hope. I think what the movie does, the issue with the movie right now is, like, it gives you that false sense of hope that they're going to catch Harvey and that he's going to be punished for it and they're going to find her body.
So, and that, everyone, so we realize, what Harvey did, what kind of monster he is. And that, everyone, is where we're going to take a snack break. So, snack break, everyone.
Yay!
And we're back. All right, so we're back. Now we're back in the world of living. Lindsay, who is Detective Sherlock Holmes, decides that she's going to find out evidence, because that's what Len said. Len told Jack, unless he has evidence, there's nothing they can do to George Harvey.
Yeah. I do have one note, and I think, because I forgot what this note was for, and I think it might have actually been a previous scene that we talked about. So I
That's
just want
fine.
to toss this in. I think it was for the scene where he was in the fields and Jack got beat
Ah,
up.
yeah.
But I have in big, bold letters, so I obviously felt very passionate about this in terms of my notes. Susie is just supposed to be able to watch, not do anything else, not send a signal or anything.
Yeah. She does send signals.
She sends signals. She sends a lot of signals. So I don't remember exactly when I wrote that note. I think it was in the whole field scene. But
Yeah.
like, just one thing, she's gone. She's able to watch. She is able to wholeheartedly watch. She is able to be in the room. She's able to be there. But she is solely a presence. Nobody, like, people see her in the sense of like how when you're grieving, you sometimes think you see someone. And, you know, sometimes you still can hear their voice and things like that. So like that is there. But Susie herself can't actually do anything, and she does a lot in this film.
Yeah. There was a so then so Lindsay shows up at the house. She kicks the basement window and then sneaks in because she notices that George Harvey was not at home. He was driving around town.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all true in the book. She finds a story of his felony assault though, as she's like looking through drawers, and she wants evidence. I'm like, okay, first of all, if that was true, I mean, okay, if a cop, any cop, like not modern 1970s, I don't care. If that piece of evidence was true, if George had committed a felony assault, he'd be the first person on the cops' investigation list, and they'd have a warrant to search his house.
Yeah.
Like, have I been watching too much Law and Order? Yes. But that is enough evidence, predisposition, for allowing the cops to search somebody's house.
Bro,
and they would have found the evidence.
The book, they searched Ray's house because he wrote a love letter to a girl he had a crush on.
I know, but a felony assault was enough for them to go, we don't have enough evidence to search George's house. No. George is fine. He's just a weird neighbor across the street, who's seen Susie grow up.
A little bit of a kook.
Yeah, but no, that thing existed. I'm just saying, it breaks the narrative.
Well, okay, the cops also didn't go through drawers.
Well, the cops are also stupid in this movie and book.
Yeah. Well, okay, no, they're less stupid in the book.
They're less stupid in the book. I will say Len is a very good cop in the book. In the movie, he sucks.
Yeah, in the book, he does everything. Like, he legitimately tries and does everything.
And he's still searching for Susie up until the end of the book. Yeah,
up until the end, like, he never gets over it. He's like, I feel... No, once they find out, because in the book, they do find out that it is Harvey.
Yeah. No, I know that, but I'm saying that he doesn't give up till the end.
He doesn't give up searching for Susie or Harvey.
No. And that's the thing about it. It's like he doesn't give up. And it's a very interesting dichotomy compared to the movie where the Len feels like he gave up 2 days ago.
Yeah. Whereas like in the book, he does say like, look, we can't continue the investigation. We have to stop the investigation. So police-wise, it stopped. But Len himself never gives up.
And because we don't really have Len as a character, we don't really get to see that. So she finds his hiding place in his room and finds his design book.
This is accurate.
This is accurate. And she finds the drawing of the cornfield. And she knows that's the evidence she needs. She then, in the book, she rips it out to take it with her. She doesn't take the whole book with her.
Yeah, there's two issues with this, right? One, take the whole book, girl.
Well, that was book version. She didn't take the whole book. Movie version, she took the whole book.
Oh, did she?
So movie version was smarter than book version?
Yeah. In this instance, I will give it to the movie version.
Okay. So George comes home and almost catches her. This is book accurate, by the way. Yeah. And she dives out the window, and he almost catches her again. In the movie, they make it a huge chase scene. In the book, he just sees her last minute tumble out the window, and she's gone.
Yeah, because she doesn't... knock herself out because she tumbles out the window, lands in some bushes, and runs away. But like in
Exactly.
the movie, she lands on her back, gets the wind knocked out of her, and then has to run away.
Yeah.
But in neither the book, well, okay, I can't say neither. In the book, she never finds a piece of Susie's hair.
No, that was totally new. I was like, wow, they really
Like,
wanted to make sure we
ooh.
understood he was the killer.
Yeah.
Or maybe because
Apparently,
because they made the cop so dumb, they need like hard evidence to prove that he was the killer.
oh yeah, definitely. Not all the notes that say Susie Salmon, this is her path home from school,
Now,
or this
at
is
this
how I'm gonna
point,
build my bunker.
at this point in the book, we actually stop watching Lindsay, Jack, Abigail, Buckley, Grandma Lynn. We stop watching them for a good chapter or two to focus on Susie in the afterlife. She dances with her grandpa. She starts to move on a bit. It's not until after this moment where she focuses back on her family because some piece of evidence has been found that can indict George.
Yeah,
I think it's a very fascinating dichotomy of, well, in the movie they're focused more on just yeah, we'll get through it. But in the book, we kept kind of going back to heaven, back to heaven, back to heaven, back to what Susie was going through.
hmm
Um, George then goes back into his house to pack up and leave as quickly as possible. What we miss from the book perspective is there's a couple of chapters where we really get into George's psyche. I love those chapters, by the way. I think those are very well written.
yeah.
It was really there. I don't love what George did. I'm saying I loved what Alice Seibold wrote
I
about.
love the chapters where we learn about him and we learn about his ticks because
It's
at
kind
the
of
end of the
like,
day, he is a terrible person. He is
yes,
a horrible, horrible human being. But Alice Seibold has written him as a very intriguing character.
it's kind of like, and I'm not, I mean, okay, book 6 of Harry Potter is all about learning about Voldemort. And you need to learn about that for book 7 to be good. And they failed that in the movie version.
Yeah. Look, that is the one thing. I don't think we need the TV show, but I'm hoping that the TV show at least does book 6 justice.
Just cast it correctly, please. Just have good casting. That's all I ask.
From what I have heard rumor wise so far, it's looking fairly decent.
Okay. Except that
From what I've heard rumor wise,
American Dumbledore is gonna piss me off.
it is an American Dumbledore. However, the one thing I will say is that I have seen, and I'm blanking on who they cast right now, but I have seen that actor do multiple British roles.
Yeah, fair,
So
fair.
I think, and I've always liked that actor's work. I'm just blanking on the name right now. But when I saw it, I was like, huh, he's American. Oh, well, that was my only thought because I've always enjoyed that actor's work. So I feel like
Yeah.
that actor, and I'm blanking on the name. I wish I knew off the top of my head, but I'm trusting that actor to do their due diligence because I have enjoyed their performances in other pieces of work.
So George packs and leaves as quickly as possible. But in the book, he's been meticulously thinking about where to move next. So we learn from the book's perspective that George has moved around a lot. Obviously, like you can probably guess, he's a serial killer and he just travels. But I mean, no, this guy, like he'll just hop on a Greyhound, hop in his car, and just go. It's weird for me. He does take his car in the movie, but in the book, he takes the Greyhound. He leaves the car because the car ties him to all the crime. The
Yeah,
Greyhound, he can just leave.
he can just get off a bus.
I just don't. Yeah. The other things that they kind of skip out on the book, and I'm just gonna kind of dive into the book a little more right here because we
Mhm.
have time. We're only at 34 minutes. Um, so the things that happened in the book that were cut from the film, some really important things in my opinion. Number one, yes, Jack Salmon is in the hospital for his injuries after he got beat up and everything, and then afterwards he heals. Abigail then leaves shortly after that. Then Jack has a heart attack.
Yeah.
And that's what brings the mom back into the picture. Jack has a straight up heart attack about the whole Susie, George Salmon, sorry, not George Salmon, George Harvey, all these things. Jack literally has a heart attack, which makes me kind of understand why why the actor wanted to be like really fat for the role. Because he's
Yeah, but
like,
like people that aren't fat have heart attacks too.
I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying I understand.
But like he didn't need to.
Yes. So there's this whole thing about him having a heart attack, and he's in the hospital, and then Abigail comes back into the picture, and Lindsay doesn't trust her. Buckley doesn't trust her because it's been years. It's years. It's not 2 months.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not.
not the. It's not. It's like 6 years or something. 5 or 6
Yeah,
years.
Lindsay's an adult now.
Is she an adult when the heart attack happens?
I think so.
I
Because
thought she was a senior or
okay, she's
in
close to
college.
adulthood.
Okay, but it has been years. Like it has been, I think, a minimum of 5 years,
I
if not more
thought
than that.
because the mom comes back, and I thought the whole scene where Sam comes in, he's gonna ask Lindsay to marry him in front of the whole family and all that stuff. I thought
Oh
that
yeah,
happened the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
same day.
Okay, no, I think you're right, and I think if I remember correctly, I think from when mom left to now has been 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Because
So
if I remember
Buckley is
correctly,
like,
when mom comes back, Buckley is about to start high school. And Buckley's like 4 or 5. So this
yeah,
is about 10 years after Susie's death. And I think mom leaves around like 3 or 4 years in after that, like
hmm
after the death. So I think it's about 5 to 7 years, somewhere within that time frame
yeah.
of time that mom
And,
has been
and
away.
Buckley, and that's the thing that to me is missing from the book. It's like that's a really important plot point. But because they're so focused on the murder and George Harvey that they forgot, like
We
Abigail
forgot the
straight up
grieving.
left.
We forgot the grieving.
Yeah, the point of the book.
Yeah.
So also the heart attack, which I'm like, that's a really important book. So Lindsay shows up back at the house with all the evidence. Um, there's like all this stuff in the book that is like, yeah, he's the guy. I mean, they made it so obvious in the movie that yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah. Um, but mom is home, and I was like, oh, and this story. But yeah, the story is supposed to be making years in the making, but I guess they couldn't age up everyone as they told the movie. Um, Lindsay shares the evidence with Grandma Lynn because her father and mother are too busy making out, like at the beginning of the film. And now everyone knows George did it. I felt like, yes, that was part of it, but I remember there being a lot more to do about the picture when Lindsay brought it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's fine. What's up, everyone? It's Stephen Nieman from Flip the Scripts. Thank you so much for watching our content. I hope you're enjoying the lovely bones. Are you agreeing with us so far with our adaptation choices? Are you disagreeing with us? Post in the comment section down below. If you like what we do, please like and subscribe. As a reminder, if we get to 100 subscribers before the end of 2025, Ankit and I will be forced to do the Twilight franchise, something we will not enjoy at all. If you want to support us monetarily, you can do so by subscribing to our Patreon. All of our links and all of our ways to follow us are in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching us. We really, really appreciate it. And now, back to the episode. So George knew he was going to get caught. So what did George do? He left town. No. He purposely goes to dump a safe before he leaves town because, while he's dumping a heavy safe and everyone's looking for him, the first place the cops won't go is maybe he's at a dump site. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
These cops are dumb. The movie made some dumb decisions here. Because, like Ankit pointed out, that thing was dumped years ago. George Salmon got away with this murder for years.
Yeah. Like a decade.
Yeah. He's murdered other people.
Yeah. In fact, in the book, he's starting to pay attention to Lindsay.
Yeah, that's the creepy thing. He wants a double salmon.
Double salmon. He
Double
wants
salmon.
2 orders.
Well, it's a sushi roll as well.
No.
Sorry, bad joke. Let's
Terrible
focus.
joke. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was bad. Okay. We're better than this.
We are better than this.
Are we? We made the joke.
No, we're not.
I wish we were better than this.
Are we better than this? Post in the comment section down below.
No! Don't open it up to the worm. Don't open it up to the whole wormhole.
So he goes to dump the body into the sinkhole, and the guy comes over and like, no, we're clogging the sinkhole today, and George is like, well, here's some money, and he's like, oh, we're clogging the sinkhole after we dump your safe.
Yep.
Doesn't even question it. And Ruth's there because Ruth lives by the sinkhole. And Ruth's like watching it.
Ruth's family that owns the sinkhole.
No, I know, but Ruth's there. Ray's there as well, and I'm like,
oh right, these two had an entire thing going on, and
yeah, Ray and Ruth are there. By the way, this scene that we're about to explain happened when these two were adults, not still teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So we're about to explain some adult things. Please, audience, be advised. So we go back to the in-between now, and they run into a little girl by the tree, and it's all of George Salmon's murderers. Not George Salmon, sorry. George Harvey's murderers.
You've done that a lot in the last 2 episodes.
I'm sorry. My brain.
Hey,
Salmon. Harvey.
If you have the chance, can you toss up a counter of how many times Stephen has messed up the name George Harvey? Because it's happened a lot.
Don't you dare. Okay, do it. I don't care. So we're there, and the hilarious thing is it's like this moment of like heaven, and I finally feel like we're gonna see heaven, and she's like, this is heaven, and I'm like, no, if heaven's literally just the tree. I liked the idea of heaven in the book, where it's like you create your own heaven, and then your heaven can grow and shrink depending on you.
Nice.
But it didn't. And she meets all the people who have passed away. She's like, I have to do one more thing before I die. And I was like, yeah, kill George Harvey. Let's go.
Fuck. Sorry,
Jesus.
You're gonna have to.
Sorry, Ed. Whoa.
But that is what she does.
Well, in the book, yeah.
That's what she does in the movie.
No, not in the movie.
They imply it heavily.
They do not.
So, did we watch the same movie?
They have jackets on at the end. They're in the bed sharing jackets.
Yeah.
They still have fully closed. That doesn't imply anything, Ankit.
They do. Okay,
so Susie's like, I have one more thing to do. So Ruth's like watching Stanley Tucci pushing a safe with her father to dump it in the sinkhole. And while she's calling Ray, she's like, Ray. Ray can hear her through a window apparently. And because people can just hear people through windows. House must have been built in the 70s, which it probably was. Then Susie's ghost comes through the window and into Ruth, and Ruth becomes Susie.
Yep.
This is all book accurate, by the way. This does happen in the book. Like Susie takes over Ruth's body and like lives as Ruth for a day, not an hour, a day. Because that's one thing she wished for in heaven, is to have one more day.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes over Ruth's body and she kisses, while her body is probably in the safe being dumped. At the same time, 5 feet away, she is making out with Ray.
Yep.
And it's her first kiss, and it's glorious. And then we cut to the next day, and they're just, cuddling with each other. with jackets and clothes on. In the book,
They get down and dirty.
They get down and dirty. And Ray will never forget it. And I think because of that, Ray marries Ruth.
Oh,
there's
I didn't get that from the book.
There's like a
but
hint.
I like that headcanon.
There's a hint of it.
There's a hint of it. I kind of also just like I kind of liked Ray and Ruth together in the book. Like,
by the way, this is all supposed to happen at Ray's house. Like, Ruth goes to Ray's house and like they in his bed. Also at the same time, Runa catches them the next day, and Runa's very happy that Ray's found Ruth, and like they're like gonna be official.
Yeah.
Runa is his mother, who's not in the story at all for some reason, and gets cut out, and she's really important in the storytelling. I don't know why you cut.
Vital in the book.
And you also cut Dr. Singh, who is Ray's dad, and Ray becomes Dr. Singh at the end. There's a whole story about him.
There's also so like the whole Ray couldn't have done the murder because he was with Dr. Singh at a lecture and like was speaking, and there were tons of witnesses. Like,
there's also the fact that the matter is his mother is supposed to be like giving pies to the Salmons like regularly as a way of honoring Susie.
Yeah, there's also the fact that Hollywood can't cast an Indian actor to play an Indian.
Or how about the two Indian actors don't even have any lines in the film? They're cameos.
When they're vital characters in the book. Well, okay, one of them's a vital character and one of them says things.
You mean Dr. Singh?
Yeah. He's not as important as Runa.
Runa's really important. And also,
Runa's very important. Dr. Singh is important, but he does significantly less in the book.
Okay, so you take you take maybe the only people of color in a whole book. Indians as well, they're Indian, and you cut them.
Yeah. Look, them being Indian just like adds to me being slightly.
Oh yeah. It's your frustration because you're an Indian actor. You're like, I could have played that role if I was the age.
If I was not 7, like yeah. Well, no, I was 7
and 3/4.
When did the movie come out? 2009.
2009.
2009 December. I would have been 11.
Then I would have been 13.
11? No, 11. 9. I would have been not 9. 9, 10. No, I was 11.
Because I was born in 1985. 5 plus 9.
I was born in 97.
I've been 14.
10, 11. I would have just turned 12.
Yeah. Because you're 2 years younger than me.
Yeah, I would have just turned 12. Because my birthday's in November.
Then you could have played Ray. You could have played him. You just play a little older. Like 2 years older.
Yeah, no, here's the issue,
you
buddy.
You could have played young Ray.
Steven, I'm in my 20s, and I look like I'm a teenager when I shave. When I was 12, I looked like I was 6.
Hey, that was very... I was a young Jonah Hill when I was younger. And then I turned to Zach Galifianakis for a while. And then I got skinny.
And then you wore hats.
I wear hats a lot, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the movie.
So yeah, I'm still mad they cut out Runa. But yeah, she takes over Ruth's body. George finally feels he got away. So like by the end of that moment, George dumps Susie's body and runs away and gets on the drives away. Doesn't get on the Greyhound like he does in the book. Just drives away. And everyone moves on. You start to see the life of everyone. You start to see how people have grown. So Lindsay is pregnant at the end of the movie with Sam's baby.
Mm-hmm.
I have one issue with this.
Yeah.
Why could we not have seen little baby Susie?
Yeah, I don't know why we couldn't jump in time here. I understand maybe you can't jump everything in the movie in time because you want to not cast 12 different actors to play the same part of Lindsay.
Of course.
So I completely get that, right? And I'm not faulting the movie on that front. As much as I would have loved this movie to take place over a 20-year span like it does in the book, I completely understand why they've condensed it to seemingly it takes place over a span of like 1 to 2 years, right?
I will also say they cut out the fact that Grandma Lynn got over being an alcoholic. Like there was a lot of things of characters that have happened in this book that they're just like,
right.
Like Jack had a heart attack. Jack, Jack started to Abigail came back. Abigail and Jack had a recognition, started to love each other again. Grandma Lynn became a very more important part of the family. She used to be estranged, but now she's really important to the family. Lindsay and Sam were together and very happily. Buckley is very happy with his father and everything like that. Runa and Runa becomes part of the family. Ray becomes part of the family. Ruth becomes part of like this whole thing of like all these characters, what they do and grow. That's the book. It's not like George Harvey is.
It's not about the murder. The book is not about the murder.
Well, where this movie feels it's much more about George Harvey. I feel like Stanley Tucci is as much as a main character as George Harvey, as Jack Salmon and Susie.
Where in the book, George Harvey is our supporting character, but Jack Salmon and Lindsay and Susie are our main characters.
So it feels very like they cut a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So we cut ahead, and George is still trying to pick people up. So George now looks more decrepit than ever, George Harvey. He's not as charming as he once was. That's how the book explains him. The movie, he looks exactly the same. But in the book,
he just looks more disheveled, like he's been traveling for multiple days.
But also,
like, that's it.
George used to wear contacts when he was George would wear contacts and stuff. That would help him look a little more agreeable to people. He's back to wearing his thick glasses.
Yeah.
So he tries to pick up this girl at the Greyhound. She's smoking a cigarette. And
she walks away, says, "You creep."
In the book, she walks away and says, "You creep." In the movie, kind of same thing, but there's a little more conversation that happens. Then an icicle falls and hits his shoulder. I'm talking movie only first, because this is the BS that I'm gonna get really pissed about.
Okay.
Movie only. Icicle hits his shoulder. He slips, trips, and falls off a cliff. Whee! Dead. CGI terrible. It looks bad. It looks bad.
Fair.
It looks like from a 2009 movie, but I'm like, you're Peter Jackson. You directed Lord of the Rings. Like,
in Peter Jackson's defense, because I did forget to tell us about our budget and our box office. That's what I forgot in the first one. In the first episode.
Okay, tell us now.
We'll bring it in now. In Peter Jackson's defense, the budget was $65 million. They made their money back. How much do you think they made?
100 million.
You're actually pretty close. It's 93.6.
Hey, I don't know if it's the closest I've ever been. I feel like that was Hunger Games, but
I think there was one where you were only off by about 5 million. So I think that is your closest is still, I think, about 5 million, but I will have to go back into the records to see if I can figure out which movie that was. But this is up there on your closest. You're within 10, and that is rare that you get within 10. So well done.
The thing is, the CGI was terrible. I understand why the critics gave this 30%, because there are things about this movie that just don't work. And partially it's because it's not the book. The book makes more sense. We're going to talk more about that when we rate it. But the way George dies in the book, at least I read the chapter, and from my understanding, this is how I read it. And this is how because it's a little ambiguous in the book, but this is how I read it. George goes into a coffee station to get a coffee. I'm gonna say it almost word for word. He gets a coffee, black. He's drinking his coffee. He sees the girl smoking a cigarette. A young teenager who's looked like she ran away. He starts to talk to her to try to pick her up because he's like, ooh, it's a new town. I can do stuff. He's on the Greyhound with her. They're both on a Greyhound bus together. She says, "Stay away, you creep." And he's all disappointed because, he didn't get the new girl. And he's standing under the coffee shop when an icicle falls and kills him right where he stands. And he lays in the street as the snow covers him, not to be found for a couple of weeks.
My understanding is almost the same, but he's not in the street.
He's on the sidewalk?
No. He is off to the side.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Looking like he's on the back. he's at the back of the coffee shop, right? Like it
Oh,
is.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you see it
So
at the back of the coffee shop. I
so
get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
I see it as a slightly secluded place, because think about smoking areas, right? Smoking
Yeah.
areas are usually not going to be right next to the entrance. They're not going
Yes.
to be near the main road. They're
Unless
going
you're
to
at my
be
old bowling alley.
sure. Like unless you're at certain places. But like think when we go on road trips in the US,
Oh, yeah.
many times, like these diners, these coffee shop diners, your smoking area will be off onto the side a little bit away from the coffee shop. So like you will still see the coffee shop. It is still there, right? You're maybe like 50 feet, 100 feet away from the coffee shop. You're not too far. But my reading of this was that the icicle killed him where he was. He crumpled, but then he fell into a little like divot or a hole
Uh-huh.
of such, which made his body harder to find. The snow added on top of it, because I don't think they ever find his body in the book.
Yeah, so they do.
And
Weeks later. Weeks
oh,
later they find it.
they do. Okay,
Yeah,
then
yeah. But I
then,
think
okay.
I think they wanted his death to be so bad in the movie that everyone's like, yeah, he got killed. But then also I was like, I love how non-memorable his death is in the movie, because I think it adds to the fact that Susie got
No,
one
in
up
the book. In the
in
book.
the book. I mean,
Yeah,
Susie got one up on him because Susie's death was memorable, where his will never be. And
his will never be memorable.
it's that idea of he is just a sad man at the end with a
Yeah,
non-memorable life, non-memorable death. And I like that
exactly.
better.
I
I
read
think they
it.
gave him too much power in death. It's just like in Harry Potter. It's my biggest complaint about the eighth movie of Harry Potter. Voldemort dies as a monster. Voldemort dies like breaking into pieces, and
He should die just as a human.
it's how he dies in the book. And why does Voldemort dying as a human important, everyone? Why is it important, everyone? It's because he wanted not to be human. He did unhuman things. And when you kill someone as just a human, it's more impactful. Now, if George Harvey just died as a human, better movie.
Dude, the scene that I wanted to see
Yeah.
more than anything in those Harry Potter movies was Harry just telling the entire wizarding community, "Hi, Tom, you're gonna die now."
Yeah,
I
he does
wanted
call
to
him
see
Tom.
that.
He calls him Tom in front of everyone. And everyone's like, oh,
And when I
that's his
read
name.
that, because I did read book 7. I don't know when I started reading the books before the movie started coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But I did read book 7 before book 8 happened.
No, this is a
I
good time to tell our audience. By the way,
Yeah.
we're about to finish this. By the way, if we get to, I think, 100 subscribers on YouTube and followers on Spotify, everything like that, on YouTube,
Definitely, we're counting the YouTube because they're easier to count friends.
on
Yes.
YouTube. So if you're listen on Spotify, just hop over to YouTube, subscribe to us, let us know.
Yeah. We appreciate
If
it.
we get
Please
100
listen on
subscribers
Spotify.
before the end of this year, Ankit and I will be forced to do the Twilight series. Now, Harry Potter is on our docket. It is one of the tiers of likes and subscribers, but it's 100 for Twilight, and I think we said 1,000.
Let's start with 100. We got some fun ones coming up.
100 for Twilight, but okay. But
if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, we completely appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please keep listening to the episodes there. The only reason we are going based off of YouTube subscribers, it is easier for us to see the number.
Now, the movie and the book end differently, but they do steal one thing from the book for the ending, and I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Abigail finally goes into Susie's room to say goodbye.
Yes.
And that is a very important part of the book. It's a really important part of the movie. It feels right. It's the mom saying goodbye to her daughter. Because the one thing, there's one thing that the movie fails. There's one thing that the movie fails. You don't care about their relationship enough.
Oh, say
Mother
the line.
and daughter.
Say the line.
Mother,
say the
mother,
line. Say the ending line, because boy, do I got notes.
Oh, the ending line?
What's the ending line of the film?
Oh, I hope you live on forever. Oh, what was it? Oh, sorry.
These are the lovely bones that connect us all.
Oh, yeah. These are lovely bones that connect us all.
Yeah, or something along those lines. Here's the note that I wrote down. What bones, what connections? I didn't care about any of these characters. I like the final message, but this film gave me nothing to care about.
Exactly. And that's the issue, right? So the book made us care about the relationships of these characters. The movie did not. And I've said it in many podcast episodes. I think I said it in Anyone But You. I think I've said it in Series of Fortune Events. I think I've said this since Hunger Games. If you don't show people the relationship on the screen, you don't tell. You gotta show it. Then we don't care. If somebody dies in the first minute of a movie and you don't show us why we should care, we don't care.
Look, I watched Scream, Halloween, Friday the 13th. I don't know, one of them. The one with the hockey mask.
That's Friday the 13th. That's what Jason.
Okay, cool.
And he doesn't have a hockey mask till Friday the 13th too, I think.
Then no, then it is Scream.
Scream has Ghostface though.
I think I'm talking Ghostface. Yeah, I'm talking Ghostface.
Are you saw the original or you saw the new ones?
I think I saw the original.
Scream 1 with Reese Witherspoon in the first minute.
That sounds right.
And she gets killed in the first minute.
Yeah, but even her, she dies in the first 2 minutes of the movie. But I care about her because you see the trauma and the turmoil that these parents are going through. And it's like, oh, they loved their daughter, right? I only needed 30 seconds of the parents freaking out to understand the relationship between them. But they showed us the relationship.
That was my thing. I mean, they spent 30 minutes in the movie trying to show us the family dynamic, but then
they didn't succeed.
They didn't succeed at that.
The only other note that I have before we jump into rating and reviewing is with the icicle thing, and I thought this is a fun thing, because occasionally I do watch this stuff for Flip the Scripts with my family. If they're around and we have free time at the same time, like I'll throw it on and my family will be in the room, right? So my dad was watching this one with me, and he goes, what was the whole icicle thing? Why an icicle? And we talked about how they didn't explain this because they cut the whole How to Get Away with the Perfect Murder camp that happened for Lindsay. But then my dad's exact quote was, they're trying to tell me that tiny ice pick made him lose his balance. I don't believe that for a second.
It was a really unbelievable death, wasn't it?
Well, because it was like, it wasn't even a big icicle. It was like a tiny one that's like the size of like this water bottle. Like, and
I'd rather have it
context, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening on one of the audio only platforms, the water bottle I'm holding up is maybe the size of like, it's smaller than a human head or just about the size of like a human head. Like, that's about it. Like, it's not a big icicle. It's like maybe 2 feet tall.
All right. On that note, let's get to the ratings, everyone, so we can end this episode and move back to a series of unfortunate events.
Happy things.
Not happy things, but happy things. Happier. We get to see Neil Patrick Harris again. Not Leonardo DiCaprio.
Are you sure? Are you positive? I'm never going to let this go.
I know. Okay, Ankit, what would you rate the film as a film, not an adaptation?
As just a film, I would probably say about a 35-40%. So a 3.54 stars.
Wow. Yeah, I'd give it about 40%.
I think
if I didn't know there was a book,
I'd give it 4.5. 4.5.
I think the visuals are enough where I could be like 4.5. 4.5, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the visuals are enough to make me say that, but also, if I didn't know there was a book, I think I would have been like, I don't know if I would have ever watched this film, actually.
If it wasn't a book, I probably wouldn't watch it. And if I did watch it, it definitely wouldn't counter a rewatch. I wouldn't go back to watch this film.
Yeah. Okay, then, what would you rate it as, what would you rate the book?
An 8, 8.5. I really liked the book. It was a really good book.
I thought it was a good 8. I mean, like, it's not my cup of tea personally, fully, but like, it's just not my thing. But I think the book is really well written. What would you rate it?
Book. Yeah, again, it's not a book that I would necessarily always come back to.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it is a beautiful book. And if people were to ever ask me about a recommendation, it is a book that I would recommend, with the caveat of like, just understand the content warning going into it. And like, but like, if you want a book talking about grief and all of that. It is a beautiful book. I did really enjoy the book.
What would you rate it as in adaptation?
Probably a 3.
I think 3 to 3.5 because it did have a lot from the book,
It had a
but
lot.
it just didn't. No, you know what it did? I think this is a very Ender's Gamey answer. It did the book, but incorrectly.
It did the book. It did do the book. It kept a lot of the same elements of the book. So we have to give it credit to that. I
Yeah.
think the issue that it ran into, and you have a couple going into this adaptation, right? A couple of issues coming into it. It's difficult to have a book that spans 20 years be shown the same way in the film. And I understand that, right? So that's one difficulty you have.
It's the nature of the adaptation, right? So
Right.
the nature of the book did not fit the nature of the movie.
And that's okay. But I think the thing that the movie struggled with the most is what we've been saying the most in the last 2. I think the movie would have done a lot better if it focused on the grieving compared to the death. I think that's where the tonal shift happened. So while a lot of the book stayed the same, in reality, like a lot of the book, what we were saying was like, yeah, this happens in the book, this happens in the movie. Different points, and like it's done slightly differently in the book versus the movie, but a lot of it was similar. But it focused on 2 different things, and I feel like focusing on the grief is a stronger point and a stronger way to tell this type of story.
Now, do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? What are your ratings for this? Have you seen the movie? Have you not seen the movie? Tell us in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching our episodes. Ankit and I really do love doing this show for you. We're excited for the next 8 weeks where we're going to dive into season 2 of Series of Unfortunate Events. So we're hopping back into the series, everyone. And we're going to see Neil Patrick Harris as Olaf again. All right.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Until then, we'll see y'all next week.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to suggest an adaptation that you really love and you want us to do, please put that in the comment section down below. We're always looking for options. We are going to do 3 more one-shots after series again. And maybe you have a favorite one-shot. Maybe you have a book that has a really good movie.
Let us know. And if it's a series, let us know about the series. We'll get to it. We do give preference to our patrons. So if our patrons do suggest something, their suggestions get thrown to the top of our list. But we will gladly take suggestions from any of our listeners. But yeah, just know that. And thank you all so much for listening.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Flip the Scripts. Flip the Scripts is created, hosted, and produced by Ankit Madhira and Stephen Nieman. Our editor is Servellon. The art is by Shktija Madhira, and the music is by Sebastian Halich. If you would like to support the show, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/co-op so that's patreon.com/co_opforge. Sign up for any of the tiers and you get access to various types of bonus content, and it really does help us out a lot of not being in the red while making these episodes for you all. If you want to help out the show in a non-monetary way, that is great as well. You can talk about us on social media. Follow us on social media at co-opforge, co_opforge on all the various social media platforms. And you can also follow the show directly, Flip the Scripts Pod on Instagram. Be sure to talk about us on social media. It helps us out a lot. Thank you to anyone who has done this already or will do this in the future. And last but not least, if you still want to help out the show, word of mouth is a great way to help support the show and grow the show. Tell a friend, tell a family member about the show. There are 2 guys and they read books and then they go in, they watch the movie, they watch the TV show, they figure out, is it a faithful adaptation or is it just a fun movie but maybe not a faithful adaptation? That's also a possibility. If it's a show that you think they might enjoy, please do recommend it to them. It helps us out a lot. But we are just really thankful that you have tuned in for this episode of Flip the Scripts, and we hope you join us next week for even more tomfoolery. And until then, we'll see y'all later. Bye.